Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another Life with Miss video. Meant to post yesterday, but Mystic, it's all her fault this week, okay? And do I have a light shining? I feel like there's a light right there. Is that just me that sees that, or the blue light? It could be coming off the lamp, which I can totally shut down. But before I do, let's go take a little peek at Mystic. She's actually right here. It's morning time, so I figured I'd get this video done first thing. Hey Mystic, say good morning. It'll probably be like afternoon by the time I post this, but yeah, there's Mystic. And then if we walk up the stairs, in my room is Isis. They're usually both on the bed here, but because I've decided that I'm going to do today's video downstairs, Mystic's hanging out there till I'm done. Here, you can watch Mystic, and I'm going to turn off the light. That light you see off in the distance will stay on, but this living room light can vanish. Hey Google, turn off light. Okay, so that's a little better. It might seem maybe dark for you guys, but it's good for me. Yeah, I don't like too much light. Today I thought we would do more an awareness type video. This past weekend, as some of you guys might know Emaru, and if you don't, I'm sure you've seen many videos of her floating the internet lately. And she's a pretty popular streamer, so there's always videos of her. One of my favorite content creators, well, I have two. One's Charlie, aka Penguin Zero, and the other is Zach, aka Asmongold. And so I know of her because of watching Asmon's content. They used to do a podcast together, so they're in, a semi-friend circle. I'm not sure how close they really are. As a viewer looking in, it looks like kind of in the middle of good friend and acquaintance, but still friend. And yeah, so basically TwitchCon was this past weekend, and she had this show that she wanted to do, but in order for her to do her show, which was a cosplay thing, she had to do this meet and greet, which she didn't want to do, but in order to keep her streamer table or streamer section in, she did it. And in that meet and greet, and I'll get the video and I'll just show you for better reference. But in the meet and greet, this guy just passes through security, and it looks like, I've seen the interview of hers, and before seeing the interview where she discussed things after all the events happened, I was pretty certain he'd succeeded in laying a kiss on her, because in this clip, it looks like he gets close enough to accomplish that, right? And so when she was talking about it later, she didn't really confirm that, but she did confirm that that was the goal of the guy, right? And And you know, that shit's quite scary, honestly. I myself, you know, I want to say I think I luck out now because I'm older and not as good looking as I used to be back in the day. I'll throw some pictures up. But this was me at the beginning of stream, and like when I first started doing content and stuff. And the thing is, no, it don't fucking matter. You still end up with weirdos trying to get at you, right? I've had my fair share of stalkers over the years. I have some weirdos on my stream still today, you know? Like, yeah, yeah. There's you can tell, you know, you can tell the ones that I do consider weirdos because I'm a little more, let's just say I don't talk the same to them as I do the other people. And you can sense it if you've been around my stream for long enough. You can sense that I think they're a weirdo, you know, but you know, I, you know, I will, you know, conduct my business as usual. But yeah, so that's really what I wanted to make this video, more an awareness, mainly to female streamers. But honestly, it can happen to guys as well. It's just more known for women because, you know, well, for starters, let me just finish talking about this clip. Now, this clip, I think this was horrible on Twitch's end. They should have better security. The security you saw in the clip that pushed the guy, that was her own security, which she pays over 10K each time, right? And I'm pretty sure she has to cover their airfare and all that, so that's on top of what they're already making. So security isn't cheap. And she used to have this other one that, you know, did his job really good, but because of the, I don't know if we use the word manhandling, I don't know if that's the right term to use, but he had pushed a guy out of the way at a past incident with Emaru, and because of that, he got banned from Twitch, and yeah, so she has this new security that, you know, he seemed to do his job, but the point is, this is technically her workplace, right? When you're a streamer and you're making money, you know, like for me, for example, this channel isn't monetized, but my main channel is. That makes me an employee of Google, more or less, an employee of YouTube, you know? And it's the same if you're making money over on Twitch, that makes you an employee of them. And I think, especially when you're bigger and making them more money, there should be a bigger line of security, you know? And yeah, I just thought that was really bad on Twitch's end, that the security was so bad there, you know? So yeah, that happened, and honestly, that could have been so much worse, you know? There have been multiple situations where meet and greets or, you know, concerts or stuff go really bad. For those that don't know me, and this won't shock those that do, but my favorite band's Pantera, my favorite musician's Dimebag, he was shot to death by a crazy fan, right? And that could have been the situation with her, you know, especially when you're dealing with weirdo men, you know, because men in general don't really like to be turned down. And then on top of that, you put a weirdo man in the situation and things could escalate really badly. People were kind of suspecting he might have had a knife. I think it looked like a pen. it didn't look quite like a knife, but you can never be too careful. And honestly, if he was able to pass the security like that, then he could probably pass, they probably didn't check him, Yeah, and there were multiple other clips going around regarding TwitchCon showing, us, the viewers, how easy it was to actually cut lines. And yeah, like the meet and greet was something that you had to kind of sign up for and pay for or whatnot, earlier before even going through the doors of TwitchCon. So to be able to cut lines, like that's nuts. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of, for any fellow, mainly female, but it goes for everyone, but mainly female, because let's be real, female have more issues than men do when it comes to crazy fans. I've had my share, and I didn't start streaming till I was in my 30s. So you can just imagine what someone in their 20s is going to experience online. Like me personally, I had a pretty bad stalker in my 20s, and streaming didn't exist really then, yeah. So you can imagine how much worse it is now when you got this online presence and stuff. That's why you guys may notice, especially in my streams, when I'm live, I'm very careful of what's disclosed. That was just one of those auto air fresheners. But I'm very careful what's disclosed, because it don't take much for someone to stalk your ass. It really don't. And TwitchCon makes it real easy because they know exactly where you're at. You're streaming, it's easy to follow a streamer, especially when they walk that camera outside of their house. So just wanted to kind of share my opinion on that, because yeah, that could have escalated a lot worse, and it still might. Like, TwitchCon is over now, but there will be more. And this isn't the first incident of a girl being harassed at these TwitchCons. If you are a female and you're thinking of going, don't. It's too life-threatening to go to a TwitchCon nowadays. I never really had an interest in TwitchCon, so I haven't gone. But I have gone to one convention since becoming a content creator, and that was BlizzCon in 2019. And that was just a few years after I had started doing content. And that one, I don't know. I'm sure bad things can happen there too, but I feel like TwitchCon is a lot worse. I always hear way more shit. To be fair, I never hear anything bad like sexual harassment or assault or any of that happening at BlizzCon. Doesn't mean it hasn't, right? It doesn't mean it hasn't. If it has, it's a lot less, because if it was more, we would have heard about it. You don't hear about every particular situation, but if enough happen, you start to hear about things, right? So yeah, I think it's honestly just a relief that it was kind of done and over as fast as it was. It sounded like he just went on with his day. So Twitch is really kind of in the bad here. And yeah, I think they definitely need to maybe change some management up, this isn't the first this isn't the first like drama of Twitch. Every year there's something new with Twitch. And you know, funny enough, it's been happening ever since Twitch became more than just a gaming platform. Am I right? Like, hate to be one of those people, but I always was. I was like, what the fuck is this platform now? You know, you might as well be a YouTube. You know, like it was so much better when it was more or less just gaming, you know, but yeah. But I definitely think that, you know, you should consider or reconsider going to a TwitchCon in the future if you are, you know, a female streamer or even a male streamer. But like I said, females have it a lot worse because, you know, it's like, I'm not gonna say females can't be disrespectful to men too, but it's just less. I can't think of a situation where a woman went rushing on the stage of a guy and fucking assaulted him. Like, you know, it's just different. But but yeah, I think, you know, the next the next part of this would be VTubers, right? This is probably one of the more major reasons that some people decide to be VTubers. Personally, I think there's 3 reasons. I don't put all the blame on this for VTubers. I still think VTubers are weird. And yeah, I think they kind of fall into the weirdo section as well. No disrespect, but you know. And but I do understand that maybe one of those reasons is because you know, they have, because of security, right? Of course you could just not go, right? That's what I do. Like you know, I'm a face on a camera. I'm not as popular, but I'm a face on a camera. We can't remove that if I do become popular. We can't remove everything I've done, you know? So you know, I would still be out there with a face on a camera, and you just protect yourself, right? You can still be on a camera and just, you know, don't put yourself in those situations. But I get that it's hard for some people, you know, you want to give back to your audience, and that is one of the better ways to do it. But yeah, so I think that's one reason people might decide to be VTubers. But I also think I've always thought that the major reason people choose not to be VTuber, or people choose to be VTubers, is because they're either camera shy or they're worried what people will think on, you know, like, yeah. I guess I could have had that worry as a person who started doing content in my 30s, because, well, one, I was really busy in my 20s. I'm still pretty busy, but I was more busy in my 20s. 2, it didn't really exist yet. And, you know, and, well, I guess that's about it, you know? Yeah. But I had another online presence, to be fair. I was an online DJ back in my 20s before streams were a thing. So I guess I still was kind of like, had an online presence. Me personally, I've always kind of been on camera, you know? You know, sometimes I hate using this term because when you say actress, people just think Hollywood straight away. But I've been an actress since I was a kid. You know, I just never cared to go to Hollywood, you know? I've always been that person that likes being on camera and likes to put on a show for people, you know, entertain, but I just don't want to be in public, you know? Like, of course, with acting you are, but you're on a stage, you know, you don't really have to deal with them. They're just an audience in front of you. And Like, you don't have to, go down to the audience and be like, hello, hello, like, yeah, those are the interactions I don't really like. I always said that if people wanted to do a meet and greet, I might do it in the future, but I don't think I'd ever do it at a TwitchCon, you know? But who knows? I hate to say it, but maybe I'd be safe since there's all these 20-year-olds. But I feel bad about laughing about that one, but there's a degree of, it also depends on your content. Emaru, for example, does cosplay, anime type stuff. Now that's a whole other crowd of guys you're tailoring to, and yeah. I like my anime too, and I always said it would be cool to do cosplay. I just don't. The closest I ever got was putting on a Halloween costume. But yeah, so I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. I feel like I just cut myself off and was going somewhere. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that, and yeah, just be careful out there. It's dangerous. You don't know what people are capable of, especially in today's world. So just be careful. Girls are heavily at risk, but you guys are as well, especially if you're a content creator that has a following, like, that can be noticed outside. And I'd like to say it gets better with age, but I'm a 46-year-old that still has weirdos. It was only a few years ago that one of them, like, was talking about moving here, and I had literally only, like, said hi to the person a few times in stream, and I was like, what? Like, yeah, so there's definitely some weirdos. I've had a couple of my mods help point them out to me, because I'm kind of blind in that sense sometimes. Trust me, I've had a lot of bad shit happen in my life, so I know people can be bad, but I still try to give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove to me they're a bad person. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But I am still, when it comes to guys, in high school, there was this guy that really liked me. I didn't know all of high school. And then there's been a few that, I didn't realize were hitting on me in stream until people brought it to my attention, So, yeah, I look past it, I don't even pay attention. Everyone's just a buddy to me, and so a lot of the time I just don't even notice. Yeah. And yeah, I'm, a lot of you guys have said that I'm blunt. Well, people have to be blunt to me too, in that sense, like, if you don't actually tell me, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, probably another reason. Well, to be fair, I'm single by my own decision, but it's probably a reason why I am single, because I just never even know. So, these people maybe are waiting for me to make the move, and a person that doesn't know isn't going to make the move, right? But anyway, that's a story for another day, I guess. I think we'll end the video here. I don't want to get it too long. So my apologies again for getting it out a day later. Yeah, yesterday was a rough day, and then Mystic was, wanting attention. So, Sundays are also one of my WoW raid days, so yeah, it gets a little rough sometimes. Yeah, so I usually don't get around to recording the Sunday videos till the evening. That's why they always post like almost at midnight. Yeah, I'm gonna try to start doing them on maybe Saturday. Yeah, do it a little earlier. Or if I have time to do it in the morning. Yeah. But yeah, so that's it. Once again, be careful out there. And this goes for everyone. You know, this is just it's worse for people out in the public, like where you can be recognized and stuff, and you have a following, and you know, you got fans and stuff like that. But you know, streams wasn't always a thing, and stalking has always been a thing. So, you know, like it happens no matter what. It's just different degrees of, you know, assault or whatever. But no one deserves to be assaulted, and especially when they're doing their job. She was technically working, right? So and there should be more there should be more security at Twitch. Like, get more if you don't have more. You're a company that makes so much fucking money, you know. like come on. So yeah, anyway, I am gonna go to my room where there aren't flies flying around. I don't know. I can't wait for the cold weather, and then they'll just all freeze. Yeah. But anyway, I am off. Have a good week, guys. I'll be on stream tonight, so if you want to come check out the stream, it's on the main channel, and which is Mist of Darkness. And yeah, have a great week. Be safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.